This gun was graciously provided by Airsplat.com. If you want to know where to purchase this product for yourself, check the direct link down below in the video information. Hey guys, Jarek here. Welcome to my review of the Lancer Tactical Knights Armament PDW. There's two different variants of the Lancer Tactical PDW. The first variant is a full metal variant that will cost you around $200. This is made by D-Boys and is actually a pretty good VFC clone. The second version is a full plastic version that will only cost you around $100. It's still made by D-Boys, but the quality is nowhere near as good as the full metal version. In fact, it's pretty atrocious, and I'm going to tear into it. That's the version you're seeing here today in the review, but I wanted to make it very clear that the plastic version and the metal version are entirely separate, and that the metal version is actually worth the money. I'll put a link down below in the video information to both of these, but again, you want the metal version, not the plastic version. This gun comes in a standard cardboard box with a plastic shell. I wish more companies would do this, as I prefer it over the flaky, terrible styrofoam that other companies use, but it's still not a suitable replacement for a gun case or a gun bag. Inside of the box you will find a decent instruction manual, 1000.2 gram BBs that are of surprisingly good quality, a cheap quality 8.4 volt 1200 milliamp battery and a cheap quality trickle charger. I would recommend replacing both of these, a very cheap quality PEQ box that can hardly even fit an 8.4 volt battery, and of course you will get your gun with two magazines. The first one is a 120 round mid cap. The second one is a 300 round high cap that, oddly enough, winds on the back instead of the bottom. This gun does not come with a foregrip, as I put that on myself. The high capacity magazine worked, but not very well. Occasionally it would cause misfeeds or double feeds, and it also had a big seam line across the feeding lip that concerned me. This seems like it would split over time and cause the magazine to fail entirely. The mid cap feeds perfectly fine and doesn't have the crack near the feeding lip. This gun is also completely compatible with M4 styled magazines, including PMags, and in my experience, they all fed perfectly fine. The original magazines this gun comes with has a little bit of wobble, but nothing too bad. M4 mags, on the other hand, have a huge amount of wobble. The funny thing is, M4 mags lock into this gun better than the original magazines and feed better than the original high cap magazine, yet wobble like crazy, so you might want to put some tape on your M4 mags. This gun does have authentic Knights Armament Company trademarks, but it's just white paint on a plastic body, and that's not really doing anything for you other than having you pay more than what the gun is actually worth. This gun's operations remain true to the original PDW. The fire selector switch and magazine release are both righty and left-handed user friendly, so if you're left-handed, this will keep you happy. This stock works like your standard PDW stock. Push a button on the back of the gun, the stock will fold around the side of the gun and lock in place. To unfold it, simply pull on it and it'll lock back in place in the back of the gun. It even has a quick release sling mount on the back of the stock, but under no circumstance do I recommend using it. This stock is literally a cheap hollow plastic tube and will break on your first skirmish out. It is the weakest part of this gun, which says a lot because the rest of the gun's build quality is not very good. Now, I typically don't have many problems with ABS plastic bodies because most companies know how to do them right. I would still prefer metal, but if you can make ABS plastic sturdy enough, then your gun's perfectly fine and will cost a little bit less. That's not the case with this gun. This gun is made out of thin ABS plastic that does not feel sturdy in any way whatsoever. It feels like it could snap in your hands. It also has horrible huge seam lines all around the front of the gun. In fact, almost nothing is made out of metal. The rails are plastic and have a big seam down the middle of them. These would definitely wear down over time and become possibly unusable. The only parts that are metal are the lower receiver pin, selector switch, trigger, and mechanism that allows the stock to fold, which doesn't do you any good when the stock itself is made out of cheapo plastic. Not even the outer barrel is made out of metal. Trust me when I say this is some of the lowest quality I've seen out of a quote-unquote medium range grade AEG. The news only gets worse from there. This gun has no threads. Get this, the orange flash hider, that giant ugly orange thing, that's part of the outer barrel, meaning if you want to remove that orange flash hider, you would literally be breaking the barrel. Your only method of getting rid of this orange on the front of your gun is to use a VFC PDW styled suppressor that does actually work with this flash hider, but it's ridiculous to me that they would make the flash hider, the giant orange thing that most people remove for a regular black flash hider, part of the barrel. You want to use your M4 birdcage styled flash hider? Sorry, you can't. You want to use your normal suppressor instead of buying a proprietary one? Sorry, stuck with the orange. The hop-up unit's quality is no better. Pull back the charging handle like most M4s, and this exposes a clear plastic hop-up unit. It's actually somewhat effective and does its job well, but the plastic used is so cheap I have no faith that it would continue working for long periods of time. The charging handle and bolt are made out of the same plastic that the rest of the gun is made out of, so when you let the bolt snap forward, it makes this disgusting plastic slapping on plastic sound. The plastic flip-up sights are not very good. They lock into place well enough, but they're not adjustable in any way whatsoever, so I would recommend adding your own optic to the top rail. When I chronoed this gun with a 9.6 volt and 0.2 gram BBs, I found the average to be 380 feet per second. This is great if you're taking this gun in the woodland, but if you want to take it into CQB, you're going to need to get a weaker spring. The rate of fire ended up being around 700 to 750 rounds per minute. With a 9.6 volt, you should be getting somewhere between 800 to 900 RPM at that FPS, so it's a little bit lower than what I should be getting, but it's still respectable. This gun uses a standard D-Boys version 2 gearbox. The quality is okay and is about what you'd expect from D-Boys, despite what the rest of the gun would tell you. The accuracy and performance was actually pretty good. At 70 feet away, I could drill a target just smaller than that of a human torso. Keep in mind, you might be seeing some of the BBs dropping. That was because I was using the high capacity magazine this gun came with, which caused a few double feeds and miss feeds. Typically the BBs fly perfectly straight. How do I sum this gun up? Internally, it's essentially a Chinese clone of an M4 with a questionable hop-up unit. Externally, it's a cheap, unreliable, plastic mess that wouldn't last you past one skirmish. If you want to buy a PDW, I would recommend saving up the $400 it needs to buy a VFC. If you don't have $400, as I would understand, try saving up $200 for the full metal version that D-Boys also makes. If you don't have $200, I would recommend buying a different gun entirely. This gun, even at $100, is overpriced. It's full of cheap plastic, unreliable, and definitely will break on you. This thing belongs in the trash. I hope you guys have enjoyed the review of the Lancer Tactical Knights Armament Company PDW. I'll see you guys next time.
Oh!
What?
Why?
I was just running behind you, and for some reason my elephant just attacked. I didn't push anything.
Oh god, it's hostile.
This is probably the least healthiest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is the ultimate elephant ear. Usually it has vanilla ice cream, but they ran out of vanilla, so we're using chocolate ice cream. It's starting to melt, so it kind of just looks like someone took a giant shit on top of an elephant ear.